Hi everyone, welcome back to another video of CambiHub, and in today's video we are going to do February-March 2024 0653 Combined Sciences paper code 22. This is an MCQ paper. It's a 45 marks paper and I'm going to explain each and every question of this paper today. Starting with the first question, biology. A person moves their hand away from a hot object. Which characteristic of living organism is this? So this is a response to stimuli which is responding to your environment, and this is called sensitivity. This is called sensitivity. I hope that this is clear. Okay, now question 2 shows the diagram of a root hair cell. We need to talk about if it is an animal cell or a plant cell, and we also need to talk about its function. So we know that root hair cell is a plant cell. Why? Because it is there in the marine plants, the plants that are there in the water, or they can also be on the surface. These root hair cells, what is their role? Their role is to absorb water and ions. Why not water and glucose? Because there are more ions than glucose that it absorbs, right? So correct answer will be part D. Since it's not an animal cell, we'll eliminate part A and B, and since it's not only uptakes glucose, so we are going to eliminate C also. Correct answer is D. Question number 3 says, of which small biological molecules are used to make proteins? So a lot of people will get confused between peptides and amino acids here, but please remember that the chain goes like, first we have proteins, then we have peptides, and at the end we have amino acids. But the core at the end is amino acids. So the building blocks of protein is actually amino acids and not peptides. Please keep this in mind. Even in theory paper 4.2, if they ask you, you are always going to keep amino acids as your first preference. Question number 4 talks about the graph, and it is showing the activity of the enzyme. So there's temperature given to us and time taken for the enzyme to break down. Now what they have done is they have done a smart play. They have switched temperature and time. So earlier in your book also, temperature is at y-axis. That's why you see a graph like this, where we say that this is the optimum temperature at which the enzyme is performing. However, this here, what they have done is they have just put T here, so the graph becomes opposite, and the correct answer should be B, where the enzyme works its best. Now question number 5 says, which substance when deficient in a diet causes the lack of hemoglobin? Always remember, hemoglobin is related to iron, right? Hemoglobin is related to iron, right? There's a whole table you need to learn for scurvy and other diseases also, but for hemoglobin it is iron. Okay. Next question says, which organ can produce a amylase, protease and lipase? Please remember, whenever all three of them are given to you, there is only one organ which does that, which is pancreas. So the correct answer will be C part, pancreas. Question 7, which statement is advantage of a double circulation? So D part says it ensures that deoxygenated blood reaches the liver faster. No, this does not make sense. It ensures that the blood leaving the heart is always oxygenated, which is also not making sense, because the heart is responsible to handle both oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. It allows blood to pass to the heart only once. It does not satisfy the term double circulation, so B can also be eliminated. So the correct answer is A here. What is the correct balance equation for aerobic respiration? You need to remember the balance equation for photosynthesis only. Aerobic respiration is just the opposite of it. So the reactants and the products, they just get switched. So the correct answer for this is D, if you remember. So photosynthesis is just 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O plus C6H12O6, which is glucose, plus 6 O2, which is oxygen. So you just swap the reactants and the products and you get the equation for aerobic respiration. Moving on to question number 9. Question number 9 says, which statements correctly defines trophic responses? So there are two types of trophic responses, gravitrophism and phototrophism. Gravitrophism is always related to gravity, photo meaning light, so phototrophism is always related to light. Okay, let's see. Gravitrophism is the growth of the shoot towards the light. This does not make sense. They have mixed phototrophism and gravitrophism. Gravitrophism is always related to gravity. Phototrophism is the growth towards the light. Okay, this can be digested. Photosynthesis is the growth of the root downwards. No, again, photosynthesis is not related to roots or gravity. So correct answer is 2 and 3. 2 says gravitrophism is the growth of the root downwards, which is correct because gravity is going to pull the root's growth, and it is going to be downwards. So 2 and 3 is the correct answer here. Question number 10, which features are present in a male flower? Okay, anthers are there in a male flower, ovules are the eggs, so no. This is there, this is a female part. Petals, of course, petals are there in both. Stigma, no, stigma is not there. So correct answer will be B for this question. Moving on to question number 11. Question number 11 says, which describes the features of the egg cells and the sperm cells. So egg cells, obviously they store energy, right? And sperm cells having a head and a flagellum. In the head they store the enzymes. So energy stores presence, enzyme presence. So question 11's answer is A. Moving on to question number 12, which says which food chain is written correctly. Cat eats a bird, okay. Bird eats a cat. Okay, one tip to remember in food chain is wherever the arrow is, just remember that organism is going to the stomach of that animal. So if the arrow is towards this side, which means cat is going inside a bird, not bird is going inside a cat. So cat is eaten by a bird. Cat is going to the stomach of the bird. Bird is going to the stomach of the snail. This is not fact. This is not common sensely possible. So A cannot be the answer. Grass. Okay, grass goes into the stomach of snail. Snail goes into the stomach of bird. Bird goes into the stomach of cat. Makes sense. Grass. Okay, the arrows are opposite here. So cat goes into the stomach of a bird. Not practically possible. Cat goes to the stomach of a snail, which is also not practically possible. So the correct answer for this question is B. Question number 13. Which part of the carbon cycle removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere? We need to see a process which is taking in carbon dioxide as a reactant and producing something else as a product. Combustion. No, combustion produces carbon dioxide. Right. So this is chemistry. This is chemistry which has started here, I guess. No, this is still, okay. B part, decomposition. No, decomposition is also responsible for releasing CO2. Respiration, we don't know they're talking about aerobic or anaerobic, but then CO2 is produced, so D is also not correct. So C is the correct answer. Photosynthesis, where CO2 is a reactant and oxygen is a product. Question number 14. Which statement describes the changes inside a closed container of a gas when the temperature increases? Let's see. The gas particles slow down and the pressure decreases. No, the temperature is increasing. So what will happen is the gas particles will gain kinetic energy. They'll start vibrating more. They'll start hitting the walls of the container. They start pushing each other out, and this causes the pressure to increase. So the gas particles speed up and the pressure decreases. No, the pressure will increase. So eliminated. The gas particles speed up and the pressure increases. Best option. The gas particles turn into a liquid and the pressure increases. No, the gas particles do not turn into a liquid. They reach to their vapor temperature and then they rise. They become a gas. They turn into vapors and they become gas. Question number 15. Fluorine and chlorine are in group 6, 7. Okay, group 7, right? So 5, 6, 7. So group 7 of the periodic table. Which number increases by 8 from fluorine to chlorine? So which number increases? Right, so if you see the periodic table, you'll know whenever we move from one group to another group, the number of electrons increase in the outermost shell. So what will increase? The number of electrons will increase in the outermost shell. Which statement about the structure of the solid sodium chloride is correct? So we all know solid sodium chloride is NaCl, and NaCl is nothing but Na plus and Cl minus. So they have charges, right? This is a force. This is a force which is caused by charges, right? So NaCl, Na plus Cl minus. This is electrostatic forces. And where do we find these forces? We find these forces in ionic bonding, right? So we find these forces in ionic bonding. So it contains chloride ions formed when chloride atoms lose electrons. No, chlorine has a negative charge, so it is going to gain electrons. So this is eliminated. It contains metallic atoms. No. Opposite electrical charges result in formation of a giant ionic lattice. We know it's an ionic bonding. So C sounds the most suitable answer here. There's a strong electrostatic attraction between sodium ions and chlorine ions. But they're talking about the structure. This does not prove anything about the structure. So C is the correct answer because it is correct. It is factually correct. And it also answers the question. It also, being the fact that the structure is included, giant ionic lattice. So it also answers the question of the structure. Moving on to question number 17. Question number 17 says an ionic compound contains NH4 plus ions, S2O3 minus 2 minus ions. So we have NH4 plus here, right, which is plus 1, and we have S2O3 2 minus. So we know that the charges get crisscrossed, right? So this one will go here, this okay, I think it's not visible, right? So I'll just do it once again, right? So we have NH4 plus and S2O3 2 minus. So what we do is, this is plus 1, this is 2 minus, so plus 1 goes here and 2 minus goes here. So we do this crisscross thingy, and when we do this we get the answer to be NH4 2, right? This 2 will come here and this 1 will come here, which is S2O3. So the correct answer for this is C part. Moving on to question number 18. Question number 18 says, which statement about the electrolysis of molten metal halide is correct? So remember, in electrolysis, cathode and anode. People always get confused at cathode and anode. See, cathode attracts cations, that's why it is called cathode, and anode attracts anions, that's why it is called, okay, the arrow should be there, that's why it's called the anode. But please keep in mind, since it is attracting cations, so cations have a positive charge. So it has to be negative to attract cations. So cathode is the negative one. Anode is the positive one because it needs to attract negative anions, right? Okay, seeing the options, cations move to anode, which is not correct. Electrons flow through the electrolyte, which is also not correct. Ions gain protons at the cathode, which is also not correct. Ions lose electrons at the cathode, which is correct because, okay, an ion has a negative charge, right? They lose ions at the, okay, they lose electrons at the anode. Perfect. So they lose first and then they gain first and then they lose once they convert from an ion to an atom, right? Okay. Now, which energy change represents the activation energy? Please remember, activation energy is always from the reactants to the top of the reaction. So from the reactants to the tip. So from the reactants to the tip, which is B part. So activation energy is A. And change in energy will always be products from the reactant to the product. So this is change in energy. This is activation energy. Okay. Moving on to the next kind of question. Next question says hydrogen reacts with iodine to form hydrogen iodide. The reaction is shown here. Now they are saying which statement explains why the rate of reaction is greater at a higher temperature. So why would it be greater at a higher temperature? Because particles gain kinetic energy, they move faster and they cause the activation. They basically the more of the atoms or more of the molecules, they gain energy. They gain energy, enough energy as activation energy to complete the reaction. So the molecules are closer together? No, they spread apart. They try to, push each other. The molecules need less energy? No. When we are increasing the temperature, energy is going to be more. The molecules they move faster and the activation energy is increased? No, activation energy is never increased. Activation energy is the energy to activate a reaction. So activation energy can be reached, right? We reach activation energy. We don't increase activation energy, right? For example, if temperature today is 50 degrees Celsius, so we reach 50 degrees Celsius, we do not increase 50 degrees Celsius, right? We have reached towards that point, that sector. So that's a point that I've created. Or if I say I get an A star in IGCSE or a 9 in GCSE. So if I say I get an A star, I reach towards A star. I don't increase A star, right? So there's a difference between them. So the correct answer, the answer that makes sense here is going to be D part, because more molecules are going to have enough energy or activation energy for the reaction to happen. The equation for the reaction between copper oxide and hydrogen is shown. So we have copper oxide and hydrogen. Now we need to tell which statement about this reaction is correct. Both copper oxide and hydrogen are oxidized? No. We can clearly see that we have copper here, we have oxygen here. This oxygen is lost, right? Where did it go? It went to H2. It went to H2. So oxygen is being lost, which means CuO is getting. Okay. Please remember, oxygen lost is reduction. So reduced, so C is correct. Question number 22. Question number 22 says which statement describes the elements in a period of a periodic table. So metals are on the left. Please remember, metals are all, this is the periodic table. It looks, so few elements are here, few elements are here, and then few elements are here. So we have metals here and non-metals towards this side. So towards the left we have metals and towards the right we have non-metals. So the correct answer for this question is A part, because metals on the left and non-metals are on the right of the period. Okay, starting with physics. Solid X is placed in a circuit shown, the lamp lights. Okay, this is still chemistry. Right, so the lamp lights, what is X? Okay, a compound, not necessarily, not all compounds conduct electricity. An alloy does. An electrolyte, no. A salt, no. So the correct answer is A. A salt would if it is aqueous. A salt might if it is aqueous. Okay. Question number 24. The extraction of an iron from a hematite in the blast furnace involves three main reactions. So if you remember all these three reactions where C plus O is CO2, right, carbon dioxide, then we are using carbon dioxide. Okay, so there are two reactions, right? So first reaction is carbon plus oxygen is carbon dioxide. Second reaction is carbon dioxide plus carbon makes carbon monoxide. So carbon dioxide, in the first reaction, carbon plus oxygen is carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide is a product. In the second reaction, carbon dioxide plus carbon, which makes carbon monoxide. Here carbon dioxide is a reactant. So which substance in the product is one of these reactions and a reactant in the other reaction? So a product and a reactant. In these three reactions, which one of the following is also a product and a reactant? So CO2 is the correct answer. Question number 25 says which processes are used in treatment of water supplies? We all know treatment of water supply is chlorination. This is the first thing that should hit our mind before even reading the options. So chlorination is definitely an answer. Crystallization does not clear water, it's just forming crystals, right? Filtration does, because we are filtering particles out of water. So filtration does, precipitation does not. So correct answer is 1 and 3. 1 and 3 means A part. So question 25, correct answer is A part. Question number 26, which two substances are required for iron to rust? Obviously, when it comes in contact with moisture and the environment, or oxygen specifically, it starts rusting. So oxygen and water is the correct answer for this question. Question 27, an equation representing the cracking of octazine, which is C28H58 is shown, right? Now you need to tell so what's happening here is this thing is getting cracked, right? This thing is getting cracked. So C2858, so carbon is 28 and hydrogen is 58. So what combination will make the same thing? So your role is all of the carbons here should make 28 and all of the hydrogen here should make 58. When you do that calculation, you'll find out, pause the video and do the calculation, you'll find out that D is the correct answer, because when you add 10 plus 12 plus 6, you'll get 28, and when you add 24 plus 12 plus 22, you'll get 58. Question 28, let's start with the physics part of the paper. The diagram shows a speed time graph for a car. So you can see that the speed is constant, which means the car is moving at a constant speed, or you can say it's at a uniform motion. So is it acceleration? No, there is no change in velocity or change in speed. So there is no acceleration happening here. It is at rest? No, it is moving at constant speed with time. It is decelerating? No, there is no change in velocity. So how can it accelerate or decelerate? It is traveling at a constant speed. So D is the correct answer. The diagram shows the speed time graph for an object. What is the different distance traveled by the object between 10 and 20 seconds? So 10 and 20 seconds. So if you zoom and try to see, this is 25. Right, so distance is area under the graph, right? It moves till here. Okay, so it is forming okay, so till 20 seconds, right? So this will not be the case. It is going to be the whole figure. It is going to be a trapezium. So trapeziums, you should know maths, right? What is the area of trapezium? Sum of the parallel sides divided by 2 into height. So A plus B by 2 into H. So what is A here? A is 325. Right. Moving on to question number 10. Now it says the diagram shows 4 rectangular solid blocks which even have a mass of 15800 kg. So all of them have a mass of 15800 kgs. All of them have a mass of 15800 kgs. We need to we need to find which block is made up of iron, and iron has a density of this. So we need to find which block has the density this. So we know that density is mass over volume. Density is mass over volume, and volume is just multiplying all the sides, length into breadth into height. Okay, let's see the first one. So we have 15800 divided by 0.50 into 1 into 0.50, which is 63200. Nope, this is not the correct answer. Let's do the downward one. So 1 into 1 into 2 in the denominator, that's it, nothing has to be changed. Correct. So the correct answer for this question is C part. Moving on to the next question. Next question says a parachute falls at a constant speed. Her kinetic energy does not change. Which form of energy is changing? So kinetic energy is not changing, which means it might be moving at a constant speed. Or okay, so just leave all the factors. Kinetic energy is not changing. Then which energy is changing? Obviously, when she'll fall, there will be upthrust applied by the air, which causes friction, and friction causes heat. There will be air resistance, right, when she falls, which causes heat, and heat is nothing but thermal energy, right? It cannot be chemical energy. There is no chemical reaction happening here. There is no chemical conversion happening here. It cannot be gravitational potential energy, because when we go up, gravitational potential energy increases, but here we are going down, so gravitational potential energy is going to decrease, right? No nuclear reaction is happening here, so there is no nuclear transfer. Nuclear energy is not the correct answer, so correct answer is D. Moving on to question number 32. A car of mass 1200 kg travels at a constant speed of 15 meter per second. The speed of the car now increases to 25 meter per second. What is the increase in the kinetic energy of the car? So we know the kinetic energy is half into mass into velocity square. So let's calculate the kinetic energy before versus after. So kinetic energy before and kinetic energy afterwards, right? So before, the kinetic energy was half into 1200 into velocity here was 15, so 15 square. Here half into 1200 into 25 square. So when you do the first one, you'll get the answer to be 135000. When you do second one, you'll get the answer to be 37500. 000, right? And when you subtract them, because we need to find the difference. So when you subtract them, you'll get the answer to be C part, right? 2,40,000, and you may say 240,000 joules. 33. Question number 33. Okay. Cold water evaporates as the molecules leave it. Now, which molecules leave the water and from where do they leave? So we all know that molecules always leave from the surface, right? These molecules will gain tension because water has a high tension. So from the surface, water will leave, right? So the correct answer for question number 33 is C part. So more energetic molecules will only leave because they have enough kinetic energy to convert into gas, and from the surface only. Question number 34. Question number 34 says, which statement describes one of the ways in which solid metals conduct thermal energy? So in which of the ways solid metals conduct thermal energy? Atoms exchange particles? No, that's not practically scientifically possible. Atoms move freely through the metal? No, they do not move freely through the metals. Electrons do. Electrons move freely through the metal and transfer energy by colliding with atoms? Yes. So question number 34, the correct answer is C. Electrons vibrate? No, electrons cannot vibrate. Atoms vibrate. 4 hot objects are identical except they have different colors and textures. Which object is the best emitter of thermal energy? Which means which one can easily absorb thermal energy, right? So a dull and a black object will, right? A black and a shiny will reflect. White and a dull, white is going to reflect. White and shiny both are going to reflect thermal energy very easily. So correct answer of question number 35 is A. Question number 36, focal length. So we need to tell what is the focal length. Obviously, see, focal length, if we see from here, is going to be this one, and from here also it's going to be this. So it's always at the equal distance from the lens, right, and from the object. So wherever the object is, from the object and from the lens, it's going to be equal distance. So correct answer is A. Question number 37. Question number 37 says, which student makes 3 statements about a sound wave? So sound wave we all know is a longitudinal wave. right? We know it has compressions and rarefactions. It's a longitudinal wave. So this is correct. Sound wave is a type of electromagnetic wave? No, it does not come in the electromagnetic spectrum. Only G, X, U, V, I, M, R. Gamma, X-rays, ultraviolet, visible spectrum, infrared, microwaves, and radiation. Infrared radiation. So these components only come in the electromagnetic wave and not sound. So one, the particles of the medium vibrate. Perfect, right? Because we have oscillations, we have compressions and infractions. So A, 1 and 3. Correct answer is C part. Moving on to question number 39. Okay, how much charge flows through the circuit? Now one thing they'll give you to confuse you. Notice this is in ohms. So this is resistance. They have not given you current. So you will initially think that I is equal to Q by T. We need to find Q, which is charge. So I into T is going to be the answer. No, they are not given current. They have not given current. They have given you resistance. So we need to take out current first. So what's the formula? V is equal to IR, right? So current will be V by R. We just take R towards this side. So this is going to be current. So let's calculate current, right? Since it's a series circuit, so current is going to be the same in the whole circuit, right? However, we'll add the current in this case. So we know the current is, when we calculate 3 by 6, current is 0.5, right? And 3 by 4, current is 0.75. When you add them, the total is 5 by 4, 1.25, right? When you apply formula, I into T will be charge. 1.25 into time is 2 minutes. All see, time is going to be in seconds. So 2 into 60 is Q. So 1.25 into 2 into 60 is going to give us the answer to be 150. Okay, see, 150 is not there in the answer. The correct answer is B, which is 36 coulombs, right? So let's take 1.25 into 2. We're gonna get 2.5. So 60 minutes, 2 minutes, right? So 60 seconds for 1 minute. 60 plus 60 is going to give us 120 into 1.25 is going to give us 36 coulombs. No, it's going to give us 150 coulombs, right? Okay, let's not try to do this. Let's try to add the resistance first. So 6 plus 4 is going to give us 10 ohms, right? So we added the resistance first. So it is 10 ohms. Now let's try to calculate the total current, which is V by R. So 3 by 10, which is going to give us the current to be 0.3 amperes. Let's try putting in the formula now. So 0.3 into 1 into 2 into 60. This is going to give us 36 coulombs. So always remember, resistance needs to be added before you calculate current. Now the reason is because resistance in series can directly be added. If it would have been a parallel circuit, in parallel circuit we know that resistance is 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2. So in that case, you would have added the resistance in that, or we can take out the current in of the similar case also and then add them. But in series, we cannot do that. Series, we need to add the resistance first, calculate the total current in this way and not the other way around, right? So correct answer for this is 36 coulombs. Question number 39, we can see I1 and I2 are parallel and IB is, so I1 plus I2 will be equal to, so total of this is in series with this, but these two are in parallel. So I1 and I2 are going to be equal because they're in parallel. So I1 and I2 are going to be equal, right? However, I1, when we see an individual component, obviously IB will be greater than I1. IB will also be greater than I2. So the correct answer for this is B part. Okay, 40. Potential difference across a resistor is V, right? So voltage is given to be V and resistance is given to be R. So what is the power? So we know power is equal to IV, right? Power is equal to IV, power is equal to current into voltage, right? However, we don't have the current right now. So V is equal to IR. So if you bring V upon R, we bring R here, it is equal to current. Now let's substitute this in the place of current. So P will be V by R into V, right? Which is going to be V square by R. So V square by R is A part, which is the correct answer. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe CambiHub if you like, and I'll meet you in the next paper.